So here is my very tenuous segue. A lot of people think when I'm going to segue onto a new topic, it's not that. It's that. Yeah, I just thought I'd put it there for my friend. Yeah. What time is it? 11:20. I've got 9 minutes before we've got to get Steve on. So I've been doing a lot of research into Ukraine, not from the mainstream angle, but from other things. So it really got on my nerves when every time the news said, "Oh, the US is helping Ukraine with another, foreign aid package, $1.7 billion, all that sort of stuff." I'm like, bollocks, bullshit, straight away. And it is not aid. The US are not granting or gifting billions of dollars of stuff to the Ukraine. They are turning them into debt slaves. Yet everyone seems to be lapping it up, going, "Oh, America's amazing right now." No, the Ukraine is getting absolutely screwed over from two. I didn't say anything. Screwed over from both sides. There's the hot punch in the face, from Russia, and then the soft, subtle, evil shit from the US. So I looked into some of the, official websites. Here's the US DoD site, and I was looking at how much aid the US has given or gifted to the Ukraine, and it's nuts. That's basically a small army. That's so far. That's not including the $1.7 billion that they've just signed off on. This is literally an army that they're not gifting, that they are loaning to the Ukraine. So it's like, hey, Ukraine, here's a small army, but you're going to pay us. You're now our bitch. That's basically what's happened. The Ukraine is now the US bitch. The Ukraine never gets the money, and it's the age-old, you have to read the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and then read the new updated edition. That is the beginning of the rabbit hole for you. Because what happens, for those that are not familiar with this, is you have the predator and the prey. So in this case, the US, or it's not just the US, it's the IMF and the UN. So it's that troika. So they are the predators, and then the prey is the Ukraine. So obviously I've had to simplify this, but let's just say this is the US. They got bags of credit, not money, credit, and they got the weapons, or they got the weapons manufacturers on their side. So what happened, and the weapons manufacturers are over here, by the way, and let's call them the banks as well, the Federal Reserve. So they go to Ukraine and go, "Hey, looks like you're getting the old Russian punch over there. You need a bit of help, don't you? Yes, help us." Okay, yeah, fine. We've just approved some big loans, really good rates, and yeah, we'll sort you out. You want a small army? You need weapons to help fight off the Russians? We can definitely help. Here is $1 billion worth of help. Except what happens is they get $1 billion worth of debt, or insert whatever aid package that is the current thing. So the Ukraine is now in debt with interest repayments and special hidden clauses. Like, you now have to agree with whatever vote we put in on the UN Council, all that sort of stuff. That's how they buy votes in the UN. And here's $1 billion, except the $1 billion never hits the Ukraine. The $1 billion straight away goes back to the US. It goes to the military industrial complex, the weapons manufacturers, Serco, BAE, Lockheed Martin, McDonnell Douglas, all that sort of those cronies. So what happens straight away is that, let's say it's $1 billion. The US GDP increases by $1 billion, and the Ukraine is now in debt by $1 billion. That's why the US is happy to help, because it's just increasing their own freaking GDP. By the way, and here are your weapons. So now they are a debt bitch. They've enslaved the nation via debt, and they're seen as the good guys. This is the new form of war, folks. Hot war is very archaic, and there's reasons why you do go into hot wars. But the modern day of war is debt enslavement. It's the way that you can, I call it insidious invasion, because you've effectively, like when you try and invade a country, no one likes you, right? No one likes Russia at the moment. The people that you've just invaded don't like you. People don't like being invaded. So the way that you can gain access to the country, get favour amongst the people in the government, and get access to all of the resources and squander their resources is by doing the debt enslavement. So this way, the US looks like the massive shining knight in armour coming to help the Ukraine, but now all these loans will have clauses like, we can now drill your natural resources, and BP will come in and build infrastructure, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, and Ukraine is struggling to repay its interest repayments on its debts already. If they really wanted to help the Ukraine, they would do a massive debt jubilee. They'd wipe off all of the interest repayments and go, right, instead of giving us the interest repayments, just buy more weapons, for yourself. So their debt has suddenly gone up 250%. Their GDP is that, their debt's this, it's growing. And I went on the IMF website, it took me freaking ages to find this, and I finally found the fact sheet for the Ukraine. And it was interesting, because I like my numbers. Hey, Mel. And I went through all of this. So SDR is a special drawing right, that's how they do all these loans. And then I scrolled down, I came across this, and I was like, here we go, found you. So this is in millions. So 1,904 is 1.9 billion, basically. So you can see how the debt is increasing. I don't know how they're seeing that the debt's going to go down. I honestly don't know how that happens. But you can see the interest repayments. So this year, apparently, I think it's a bit low. I thought it'd be higher, 123 million this year. Next year, $192 million. That's just interest. That does not repay the principal. I honestly don't know how they're planning on getting rid of this debt. So there's a big question mark for me. Does anyone know? No?
What I was thinking is, what if Russia just take it and lose everything?
Exactly.
But are they trying to get paid back?
I don't know how they think Ukraine's going to pay off its debt over the next few years. OnlyFans. Jesus Christ, Megs. Yeah. And as mainstream media would like you to believe, Russia is winning, by the way. They're still, it's an inefficient war, but they're still taking ground. So yeah, debt jubilee, not more debt. And you've all seen this slide from random trading pubs. This is still in play. It's an old slide, but it's still in play. We've got the food crisis kicking in. Finland and Sweden is joining NATO. If you want to poke Putin even more, piss him off, that's how you do it. Taiwan is it is an inevitability. Rate hikes are still coming. GDP is crashing. Money velocity is still crashing. Stocks are halfway through their crash. The next pandemic, they're always talking about that, whether it's COVID, next variant or whatever. Mortgage lending has already started to decrease. And because of that, they're starting to change the policies. They're now, I think it was I forgot the name, but they changed some of the lending requirements now to make it a lot easier to borrow in the UK now because of this. Elon and his free speech war and all that, yeah. So this is still in play. And there's two canaries in the coal mine for those who haven't seen this before. So over the last 100 years, every single time we've had these conditions, you've always had a global crash. So when the world is entering a recession or already in a recession, and the central banks hike up rates, and there are rising oil prices, like large spikes, so rising oil prices, hiking rates into a recession, always a global crash, always. And Europe hasn't hiked rates yet. So the stock market has crashed 30-odd%, depending on which index you look at, and the Eurozone has not hiked their rates yet. That's, by the way, Eurozone always emulates the US. They're just lagged by a couple of quarters, a quarter to two. But there's two canaries in the coal mine. So what happens is, so here's oil. Oil has already breached base support. So when oil starts falling off a cliff, that is when it's game over. Because what happens is oil rising debilitates and kills everyone's balance sheet and everything. And then eventually industry grinds to a halt. They start using less oil, and then oil begins to crash. And you can see base support has just been breached. It's Koboed. It's beautifully Koboed. It's a textbook Kobo. For those non-traders, Kobo is kiss off, bugger off, where base support breaches, pulls back to kiss it off, and it's almost follow my little doodles. The next one is copper. When industry grinds to a halt, so does copper. People use less copper. Copper is literally in free fall right now, and it's actually gone down faster than my little doodle. I thought it would take a little bit longer to get down to these levels, but nope. Big straight line. Two of the biggest support levels in copper, just been like, whatever. And it's just, free fall. And so this is the S&P 500. Back in 2007, subprime mortgage collapse, we had what's called a descending topping pattern, where you have this nice big base support, like that, and then game over. So you have half of the crash where the public has no idea what's going on, but the public wake up during this capitulation spike. And that's the S&P 500 during the subprime mortgage collapse, and that's the S&P 500 right now. We've already had half of the crash, and people are lazy, they have no idea what's going on. However, when the S&P 500 races down to these levels, the 3,000 levels, the public will wake up because it'll be in the front page of a newspaper. Oh, the next crash, whatever it will be called. You know, 2008, it was the subprime mortgage collapse. This time round, I don't know, whatever crazy thing they're going to put on it. It's inevitable. And these are massive support lines going way decades back. So that picture and that picture, pretty damn similar. So I'm just waiting. I got caught with my pants down here. I've got a massive short on right now, here, right at the bottom. Because I thought, we broke it. And I was expecting the Kobo. The Kobo hasn't happened yet. But what's happening on the S&P 500 is a double top right now, just on that support level. So I'm got my pants pulled down at the moment, but I'll be in the money soon. So that's what I think will probably happen. So it'll be basically this. In my opinion, not financial advice. No FCA spies here. No, anyway. So I can't put this on the internet now, can I? So everyone is, so those in stocks, oh yeah, but Siam, all blah, blah, blah. The stock market has rallied, crazy since 2008. Hell, it's gone crazy since 2020. Going in the stock market is great. That's where the real value is. No, wrong. Who can tell me why this is so much higher than it was in 2008? There's one answer. Who said that first? There's someone on this table. Take your pick. Which alcohol would you prefer? You don't drink. Have a teddy bear. So he said inflation. I should have clarified. It's not. It's the monetary expansion base. So because the Federal Reserve, etc., have expanded the currency supply, that is the only reason it's gone crazy. If you were to look at the S&P 500 adjusted for the the US M2 currency supply, that is what the S&P 500 looks like. So by the way, back in 2008, we had roughly $8 trillion in existence, so US M2. Right now, US M2 is $22 trillion. The currency supply has more than doubled since 2008. And all that money just goes into stocks and property. Stocks first, filters into property due to the credit markets. Credit markets dictate everything else. But when you adjust for that currency expansion, that is what the S&P 500 looks like. We're not in all-time highs. This is 2001. This is the subprime mortgage collapse. That is COVID. We have done nothing in the last 20 years. There's been no extra value. It's just currency expansion. That is it. And here is some little white hole here. God knows what that means.